Hey guys, Lord Naren White here, the Holy Ghost, the one true God. Back with you with the next video in my Line of God's Daily Dare series. As usual, before I discuss what I have achieved since yesterday's Daily Dare video, I want to go ahead and read you a chapter from the Bible. Today I will be continuing with Joshua chapter 11. And it came to pass, when Jabin king of Hazor had heard these things, that he sent Jobab king of Madon, and to the king of Shimron, and to the king of Achshah, and to the mountains that were on the north of the mountains, and to the kings that were on the north of the mountains, and of the plain south of Chinneroth, and in the valley, and in the borders of Dor on the west, and to the Canaanite on the east and on the west, and to the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Jebusite in the mountains, and to the Hivite under Hermon in the land of Mizpah. And they went out, they and all their hosts with them, much people, even as the sand that is upon the seashores in multitude, with horses and chariots very many. And when all these kings were met together, they came and pitched together at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. And the Lord said unto Joshua, Be not afraid because of them, for tomorrow about this time will I deliver them up all slain before Israel. Thou shalt hawk their horses and burn their chariots with fire. So Joshua came, and all the people of war with him, against them by the waters of Merom suddenly, and they fell upon them. And the Lord delivered them into the hand of Israel, who smote them, and chased them unto great Zidon, and unto Misrephoth Maim, and unto the valley of Mizpah eastward, and they smote them, until they left them none remaining. And Joshua did unto them as the Lord bade him. He houghed their horses, and burnt their chariots with fire. And Joshua at that time turned back, and took Hazor, and smote the king thereof with the sword. For Hazor beforetime was the head of all those kingdoms. And they smote all the souls that were therein with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying them. There was not any left to breathe, and he burnt Hazor with fire. And all the cities of those kings, and all the kings of them did Joshua take, and smote them with the edge of the sword. And he utterly destroyed them, as Moses the servant of the Lord commanded. But as for the cities that stood still in their strength, Israel burned none of them, save Hazor only, that did Joshua burn. And all the spoil of these cities and the cattle, the children of Israel took for a prey unto themselves. But every man they smote with the edge of the sword, until they had destroyed them, neither left they any to breathe. As the Lord commanded Moses his servant, so did Moses command Joshua, and so did Joshua. He left nothing undone of all that the Lord commanded Moses. So Joshua took all that land, the hills, and all the south country, and all the land of Goshen, and the valley, and the plain, and the mountain of Israel, and the valley of the same, even from the Mount Halak that goeth up to Seir, even unto Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon under Mount Hermon. And all their kings he took, and smote them, and slew them. Joshua made war a long time with all those kings. There was not a city that made peace with the children of Israel, save the Hivites, the inhabitants of Gibeon. All other they took in battle. For it was of the Lord to harden their hearts, that they should come against Israel in battle, that he might destroy them utterly, and that they might have no favor, but that he might destroy them, as the Lord commanded Moses. And at that time came Joshua, and cut off the Anakims from the mountains, from Hebron, from Debir, from Anab, and from all the mountains of Judah, and from all the mountains of Israel. Joshua destroyed them utterly with their cities. There was none of the Anakims left in the land of the children of Israel, only in Gaza, in Gath, and in Ashdod there remained. So Joshua took the whole land, according to all that the Lord said unto Moses, and Joshua gave it for an inheritance unto Israel, according to their divisions by their tribes, and the land rested from war. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. I think this chapter is Joshua 11 very significant for me because of the fact that literally the very last sentence of the very last verse of Joshua 11, and the land rested from war. You're free to reread everything of this chapter. There's a lot of heroic deeds written here, and You know, it's incredible chapter, and I talk about this because this this is this is it. If we Google here, say how many years from Abraham to Joshua. It says there are approximately 800 years. So it I some scholars believe that Joshua is 600 years. I say 700 years. So it's just what it is. It's the idea that between the time when God first speaks to Abraham to when the literally in I mean this exact verse in Joshua 11, and the land rested from war, is my belief around 700 years. And if you think about the struggle of the Bible, of the men in the Bible, the Hebrews in the Bible, God's chosen people at that time, before Jesus, you have Abraham. God comes upon Abraham and tells him, this is something that Jordan Peterson speaks on beautifully, where he says this idea of the spirit of adventure, that God calls Abraham to do something great with his life, and that's exactly what he does. And the idea being that we have Abraham begets Isaac, begets Jacob, begets the 12 tribes, of which one of the sons is Levi, begets Kohath, begets Amram, begets Moses, and Moses leads the people out of bondage in Israel. God helps him. And then Moses' prophetic successor, Joshua, finishes the mission. Him, God, of course, firstly, the men who fight, the fighting men, they finish the mission that God promises Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and their seed after them. He says that he will give them a land overflowing with milk and honey. And after 700 years of struggle, whether it be the fight that Abraham himself faces with his life, Isaac struggling in terms of the issue with the birthright, Jacob and Esau bickering, Jacob then going on his mission, finding a way to, when Esau swears that he'll kill Jacob for what he's done, and Jacob leaves and goes with Laban and labors 7 years for Rachel and weds Leah because she's the firstborn. Then labors 7 more years and weds Rachel, goes into them in Zilpah and Bilhah, and has the 12 tribes of Israel. And then the 12 tribes cast out Joseph, who becomes essentially the second in command with the Egyptians, and then brings his family over. And the Israelites multiply there until a time when a Pharaoh comes that knows not Joseph, and the Israelites now outnumber the Egyptians, and the Egyptians put them in bondage. Pharaoh puts them in bondage, and they struggle there for a long time with horrible commands given from Pharaoh. For example, where he commands the midwives to kill every Hebrew male, but the women do not have to kill. And what happens is, one of the midwives saves Moses and puts him on the river, and Moses grows up in the house of Pharaoh as the son of Pharaoh's sister, his own nephew. For 40 years he grows up privileged, until the time comes when he goes on his own path. And we know Moses' life is full of struggle, full of difficulty. Moses telling Pharaoh what God tells him, let my people go so that they may worship him in the desert. But Pharaoh would not. Pharaoh hardened his heart against Moses, and we get the 10 plagues culminating in the death of the firstborn with the Passover. And Pharaoh lets the people go, but ultimately doesn't. He goes after them with the chariots, and God tells Moses, take the rod of God in your hand, raise it, and he will part the Red Sea, and columns of water will form on the sides and lead the people through. And he does, and he says, now bring the columns down. And he'll bring the columns down on the Egyptians, and he does. And for 40 years, with disobedience and struggle, the Israelites wander through the desert. They make the molten calf with Aaron. They struggle. They eat the manna for 40 years in that hot sun, until finally, Moses leads them to the doorway. We get the Ten Commandments, everything, right? Moses leads them to after the Ten Commandments, Moses leads them to the doorway. Creation of the tabernacle, everything. The pillar of fire, air by day and fire by night. The pillar of cloud by day. Of God, of course. Moses leads them to the doorstep in Canaan, passes. Joshua takes the leadership, and the Israelites take the land of Canaan. And everything I just said ends here in Joshua 11, and the land rested from war. And this is one of the most inspiring stories for me in the Bible, because these 700 years are full of struggle. And in the end, God's chosen people win. And I want to say this. Truly, I believe I am the Spirit of God. I don't know what my place was alongside Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Levi, Kohath, Amram, Moses, Joshua. I only know what the scriptures say. It says, Pharaoh saying, a man in whom the Spirit is, regarding Joseph. God saying he will take of the Spirit that is upon Moses and giving it to these 70 elders. God saying Moses anoints Joshua and the Spirit of God comes upon Joshua. And I can honestly say this, I do not know. I do not have living memory of these days. What I know is that the ink is dry on these pages, and for everything I did, the glory is the Father and Son's. And I would rather, like I said, get less credit than more in this time. And then, obviously, right? Yeah, so it's more like it's such an incredible story of perseverance and resilience in the face of such odds and difficulties, and it inspires me to keep going, because what started with one, in this case God, and then Abraham, became a great multitude, and culminates here with the leadership of Joshua, God of course firstly, and the men who fight, and the land rested from war. So I will not be probably saying as much about this idea of 700 years now that Joshua 11 has concluded. It's that from Genesis to Joshua 11, I'm on page 280 of the Bible, and that was an incredible 700 years. So with that, I'll go ahead and end the Bible reading there for today, and transition over to what I have achieved since yesterday's Daily Dive video. Since yesterday's Daily Dive video, I trained Jiu-Jitsu. I will be creating the 7 days worth of Daily Dive videos, and I will upload and schedule the week's worth of daily diary and workout videos. And with no further achievements since yesterday's Daily Dive video, I want to go ahead and say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. Light be with you all. Take care, and thanks again.